This guy, his name's James Allen. He was born around 1860 and he actually lived a pretty short life. But in the last 10 years of his life, he managed to write 20 books, and one of these books went on to inspire millions and millions of people. So what I absolutely love doing is I love getting a book and I'm literally looking for the passages within the book that are going to create the biggest value. And today what we're doing is we're pulling apart one of his greatest works, and that is As A Man Thinketh. So in the introduction to the book, there is a passage, and this passage lays the foundation for the rest of the book. So, mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind. And evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but a looking glass. This is so powerful. So listen. Mind is the master power that molds and makes. He's saying mind molds and makes. It manifests things, it creates things. And man, I am a man. Man, you are a man or a woman, is mind. And the more that you take the tool of thought, your thought, and using your will, you can shape fulfillment or suffering. You think in secret, but it comes to pass. So although your thoughts are in secret, nobody knows your thoughts, it comes to fruition, it comes to life. Environment is but a looking glass. The world around you, your environment, is literally a reflection of your thoughts, and this is what he's saying. This is very powerful. So we're moving on to thought and character. A man is literally what he thinks. His character being the complete sum of all his thoughts. A noble and godlike character is not a thing of favor or chance, but is a natural result of continued effort in right thinking, the effect of long cherished association with godlike thoughts. Man is the master of thought, the molder of character, and the maker and shaper of condition, environment, and destiny. Man is literally what he thinks. Your character, the person that you are, is the complete sum of the thoughts that you're having. That is really important to understand. A noble or godlike character is not by accident. It's by a continued effort in right thinking. Thinking godlike thoughts. Thinking pure thoughts. This is really important to understand. Man is the master of thought. So you can master your thoughts. And by mastering your thoughts, you mold your character. This is what he's saying. And you can shape the conditions around you by mastering your thoughts and your environment and your destiny. Very powerful information here. The effect of thought on circumstances. Man's mind may be likened to a garden, which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and will bring forth. A person's life will be found harmoniously related to his inner state. Good thoughts bear good fruit, and bad thoughts bear bad fruit. The outer world of circumstance shapes itself to the inner world of thought. Your mind or the thoughts that you're having never stop. When you say, oh, I can stop my thoughts, when you think about stopping your thoughts, what's going to happen? You're actually having a thought. So you can never stop your mind. And what he's saying here is if you don't cultivate your thoughts along the right path, what's going to happen is your thoughts are going to run wild and create weeds in your garden, in your mind. So it's so important to direct your thoughts along the right direction. A person's life will be found harmoniously related to his inner state. Good thoughts bear good fruit, bad thoughts, bad fruit. The outer world of circumstance shapes itself to the inner world of thought. What I absolutely love doing is I can go to work, or I can go to the shopping center, or I can spend some time with people, and I just look at their environment. And by looking at this person's environment, I can see what's going on within their mind, within their thoughts. And this is essentially what he's saying here, because your world around you is literally a reflection of the thoughts that you're having. This is very powerful what he's saying here. And the greater thoughts that you have, the greater the life that you're going to have. The worse thoughts that you have, the worse life that you're going to have. This is essentially what he's saying here. Circumstance does not make the man, it reveals him to himself. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. His wishes and prayers are only gratified and answered when they harmonize with his thoughts and actions. This is so powerful. Listen to this. Circumstance does not make the man, it reveals him to himself. Have you ever had a whole heap of things going around you, shit's hit the fan, your world's chaos, the world is just falling apart, right? That is a reflection. Those are conditions. Those are conditions. And that is purely reflection of the thoughts that you're having. That is what he's saying here. Men do not attract that which they want, but that which they are. Let's say you have big goals and dreams and ambitions. You're not going to bring those into your life if these are your goals, if you don't play that person. Because if you're not that person, you're not going to draw those things into your life. He's talking about the law of attraction here. You cannot attract things into your life if your inner state, your thoughts aren't harmonious with the goals and dreams that you want. You need to create alignment, is what he's saying here. His wishes and prayers are only gratified and answered when they harmonize with his thoughts and actions. And this is exactly what I just said. Your goals, your dreams, your wishes, your ambitions, your thoughts and actions need to be aligned with that. If you're saying you want to lose weight, you want to be healthy, you want to be fulfilled, you want to be prosperous, you want to be wealthy, but every time you go to the shops, you're buying a Snickers bar or a chocolate bar, or every time you go to the shops, you don't have a shopping list and you're buying random things. How can these come to fruition? Your thoughts and your actions need to align with your goals, and this is essentially what he's saying. Man is the causer, though nearly always is unconsciously of his circumstances. And that, whilst aiming at a good end, he is continually frustrating its accomplishment by encouraging thoughts and desires which cannot possibly harmonize with that end. So, man is the causer, though nearly always is unaware of his circumstances, right? This is what he's saying. So a lot of the time, you are the cause of your circumstances, but you're not aware that you're the cause of your circumstances because you're probably living like an automaton, like a robot, right? Going through the motions. But the circumstances going on around you, you're the cause of them. This is what he's saying, whether you're aware or not. And what happens is people get pissed off because they have goals, dreams, and ambitions, but their thoughts that they're having and their actions aren't aligned with them, and they get pissed off at that. That is what he's saying. So again, thoughts and actions need to align with that what you want. This is what he's saying. Happiness, health, and prosperity are the result of a harmonious adjustment of the inner with the outer, of man with his surroundings. When you create alignment between the internal world and what's going on in the external world, that is when you're gonna have the greatest level of fulfillment, prosperity, and success. So what he's saying is what's going on the inside, when it's reflected on the outside, and what's reflected on the outside is reflected on the inside, that is when I have the greatest level of fulfillment. When you're trying to create alignment within, this is what he's trying to say. Let a man radically alter his thoughts and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life. I love that. Let a man radically alter his thoughts and he will be astonished at the rapid transformation it will effect in the material conditions of his life. So, again, have you ever been sick and tired of things just not going to plan? Things aren't working out for you, you're pissed off, you're frustrated, then one day you're like, enough is enough, I'm done. You change your thoughts and then all of a sudden the things around you change. For example, probably about 10 years ago, I was about 40 kilos heavier than I am today, right? And about 10 years ago, one day I woke up and I'm like, nah, this is not good enough. And I just completely changed my thoughts. And I did it radically in a moment. And in that moment of frustration, of anger, and when I was pissed off, I'm like, nah, enough's enough. I managed to radically alter the material conditions of my life. I dropped 40 kilos, 30 to 40 kilos, literally within 3 months. And this is very, very powerful. So sometimes just click, clap your hands, and then all of a sudden by changing your thoughts, the world around you is dramatically going to change. Very powerful stuff here. A man cannot directly choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts. And so indirectly yet surely shape his circumstances. I want you to think about cause and effect. Cause and effect. So circumstances are an effect. They're an effect of a cause. So your thoughts are the causes. And you have a thought and it creates a cause, and that cause creates an effect. You can't guarantee the circumstances that are going to happen around you, but by changing your thoughts, which are the cause, it's going to change the effect, and it's naturally going to change the conditions of your life. This is what he's saying here, very powerful. Effect of thought on health and the body. Thought is the fount of action, life, and manifestation. Make the fountain pure and all will be pure. So by having a thought, things are starting to get into motion. Life creates, so motion, life. But then he's saying manifestation. So through thoughts, action happens, life happens, and manifestation. We can create things through our thoughts is what he's saying here. And when you make your fountain pure, all will be pure. The world around you will be pure. There is no physician like cheerful thought for dissipating the ills of the body. People that are living on purpose, people that are fulfilled, people that are healthy, happy, prosperous. Do you notice they don't get sick? They don't have time to get sick. because they're so excited by life, right? This is so, so important. Again, have you ever been very emotionally down or in the gutters or frustrated or angry? And in this moment, whether it be within an hour, within a day, all of a sudden you ended up with a cold or a flu or sick. Because what happens at the maximum moment of volatility, when your emotions are high, when you're pissed off, when you're angry, whatever it may be, you're the most susceptible to illness. This is what he's saying. And this is true because it happens in my life and I know it happens in your life, but it takes consciousness, takes awareness for you to be able to understand that. So by living a life on purpose, by being fulfilled, by being happy, by being prosperous, using your thoughts for joy, not suffering, you're gonna get rid of the illness within you. Moving on to the next section, thought and purpose. Until thought is linked with purpose, there is no intelligent accomplishment. A man should conceive of a legitimate purpose in his heart and set out to accomplishment. He should make his purpose the centralizing point of his thoughts. It may take the form of a spiritual ideal, or it may be of worldly object, according to his nature at the time of being. But whichever it is, he should steadily focus his thought forces upon the object which he has set before him. The greatest level of accomplishment you're going to achieve is by linking your thoughts with your purpose. And again, I understand, you might be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, whatever it may be, and sometimes you might think you don't know what your purpose is. But deep down within, you have a purpose, and it is your duty to find your purpose and live your purpose. Very, very important, right? Then, when you understand that, your thoughts should be focused on nothing else besides your purpose. And by doing that, you're going to have the greatest level of accomplishment in your life. Those who are not prepared for the apprehension of a great purpose should fix the thoughts on the faultless performance of their duty, no matter how insignificant their task may appear. You may not know your purpose, and that's okay. But what he's saying here is, even if you don't know what your purpose is right now, it's important to do the best that you possibly can on whatever it is that you're doing. And I question you, why is this important? It's so important to develop the habits and the rituals and the routines to make success normal. Because then when your purpose comes into your life, if you're not prepared to receive your purpose and you don't do it to the best of your ability, you're not going to reach the greatest level of fulfillment and success in your life. Having conceived of his purpose, a man should mentally mark out a straight pathway to its achievement, looking neither left nor right. Essentially, planning is what he's saying. A to Z. A to Z. There are a series of steps for you to realize your dreams, to realize your purpose. And man should never waver. Your thoughts should be focused on your plans and nothing else. The thought factor in achievement. Oh, this is good. As he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. This is beautiful, right? Now let me flip the switch. As you think, so you are. As you continue to think, so you remain. This is so, so powerful. I remember hearing the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, right? What he's saying here is, as you think, so you are. Your thoughts are literally governing where you are right now and where you're going to end up. And if you continue to have these thoughts over and over again, nothing is going to change. You're going to remain where you are. And this is really, really important because if you want to live the life of your dreams, you're going to need to change your thoughts. And by changing your thoughts, you're going to change your life. So as he thinks, so he is. As he continues to think, so he remains. Very powerful stuff. A man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts. Before a man can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift his thoughts above the slavish animal indulgence. There can be no progress, no achievement without sacrifice. And a man's worldly success will be in the measure that he sacrifices his confused animal thoughts and fixes his mind on the development of his plans and the strengthening of his resolution and self-reliance. This is what separates the 1% from the masses, right? This is what separates the rich from the poor, the fulfilled from the depressed. This is very, very powerful here, right? A man can only rise, conquer, and achieve by lifting up his thoughts. Before a man can achieve anything, even in worldly things, he must lift his thoughts above the slavish animal indulgences. We are animals, this is very, very important. And we have the animal indulgences. We have the vices, let's call them the vices. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, alcohol, gambling, sugar. These are the animal indulgences. These are the vices. Until a man can rise above these animal indulgences, he's going to remain like the masses. But the man who can rise above these animal indulgences is going to be the man that lives a life of success and accomplishment and achievement. And a man's level of fulfillment and success and wealth is going to be determined by the ability of man's ability not to suppress his animal indulgences, but to rise above them, to rise above the animal indulgences. And the more that you rise above these animal indulgences is going to dictate how far you can get in life. The next section, visions and ideals. The dreamers are the saviors of the world. Composer, sculptor, painter, poet, prophet, sage. These are the makers of the afterworld, the architects of heaven. He who cherishes a beautiful vision, a lofty ideal in his heart, will one day realize it. To desire is to obtain, to aspire is to achieve. Dream lofty dreams, as you dream, so you shall become. Your vision is the promise of what you shall one day be. Your ideal is a prophecy of what you shall at last unveil. The dreams of the saviors of the world. I'm going to point something out to you. So right now, you're watching or listening to this video, whether that be on your phone, whether that be on your computer, whether that be on your TV, or whatever device it may be, right? But where did that come from? That first started in somebody's mind. They started in mind as a dream. It started as a dream. And from them having that dream, it was able to manifest into material form. And these guys, the dreamers of the world, what they do is they are the heaven makers on earth, right? Because the house that you live in, the car that you drive, the people, the places that you go and see, this is heaven. But all these things were created in the mind of man, right? Through a dream. Dream lofty dreams, as you dream, so you shall become. This is so, so powerful. So as you were younger, when you were a child, you had dreams. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a scientist. I want to write a book. You had these dreams. But as you grew up, what happened was people said, you can't do that. That's a bit stupid. Do you know how hard that would be? And who did this come from? Your family, your friends, your teachers, your peers, right? And then what happened to your dreams? You crushed your dreams, but they are still within you. If you dream, if you bring these dreams out, as you dream, so you shall become, right? Really, really important stuff. In all human affairs, there are efforts and there are results. And the strength of the effort is a measure of the result. Gifts, powers, material, intellectual, and spiritual possessions are the fruits of effort. They are thoughts completed, objects accomplished, visions realized. So, the manifested things, the things that you want, your goals, your dreams, your ambitions, they are not the result of sitting in the Himalayas, meditating for weeks on end and not doing anything. He's saying effort. We need to put in the effort. The more effort that you put in, the more you're going to realize your dreams, right? And again, your efforts are just thoughts completed because you have a thought. Through that thought, we act. The level of action determines the effort, and that effort is going to produce a result. And this is what he's saying here. Very, very powerful stuff. The next section, serenity. Calmness of the mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It is the result of long and patient effort in self-control. The more tranquil a man becomes, the greater his success, his influence, his power for good. When you go back 100 years, 300 years, 500 years, 1,000 years, there were tribes. And in these tribes, you had the masses within the tribes, but then you had the elders. And the elders were the people who had the most calmness of their mind. They'd be sitting on a chair or a throne, wherever it may be. And then people would go up to them, all the noise, all the chaos, and ask them a question. And then the elder would be sitting there and they'd be thinking for a moment, quiet, calm, collected. They'd have a sentence or two. And they gave all the wisdom that was needed. And that student was ready to receive that wisdom and took that wisdom and created the life of their dreams, right? And these people, these elders, had the most power, the most influence in the world, right? The more tranquil, the more calm a person becomes, the more power you will have, the more influence you're gonna have. And this is essentially what he's saying here. Think about your grandparents, whether you have grandparents or not. The majority of grandparents, they've been through the waters, they've lived life, they've had the experience, and they know the challenges of life. But then when they're older, they're calm, they're cool, they're collected, and we go to them for advice, and they're calm and they give us advice, and we take it to heart and we act on it. Very, very powerful stuff. Self-control is strength, right thought is mastery, calmness is power. So self-control is strength. So this comes back from the Stoics thousands of years ago. Self-control is strength. The more self-control you have over your animal indulgences, the vices, everything, the more strength you're gonna have, Right thought is mastery. And again, we talked about thoughts. Thoughts produce life, action, manifestation. The more that you conquer your thoughts and master your thoughts, you're going to be able to live the life that you want. So mastering your thoughts is very powerful. Calmness is power. And again, the elders, the grandparents, the people with wisdom, the people, they just know. You know, when you're certain, when you're just grounded within yourself and you are certain and you just know, that is power. Say unto your heart, peace be still. Guys, that was James Allen, As A Man Thinketh, one of the greatest books ever written. If you got value today, smash like, hit subscribe, and I'd love to hear your biggest takeaway down below in the comments. I'm Simon Mucha, and thanks for watching.